What is up, and welcome to the first e-bike review of 2024. It is the warmest it's ever been, late February, early March, so we are diving in early this year with a bike that I'm kind of really excited about. This is the RIDE1UP Portola, or however you want to say it. It seems pretty good. So the specs are all there. It comes in either a 10 amp or a 13 amp hour battery. I have the 10 amp here. I do recommend getting the 13 though if you're cross shopping. I think it's only $100 more. A bigger battery is always going to be nicer in the long run. Let's dive into it. Let's open it up and build this, and check out what in 2024 a bike under $1,000 that has otherwise decent specs from a decent company looks like. Let's check it out. Is a good bonus here. You don't always get something with nice, easy instructions, which does not always happen. If this is your first time shopping for e-bikes and you're considering this, that's a huge win if that's the case, because I mean, some of these take like hours to build, and I build a lot of e-bikes. I own an e-bike store, so I've built more e-bikes than any person should, and some of them are nuts. This one looks like it might be a good one, so let's check it out. Okay, it's built. It was seriously one of the absolute easiest builds of my entire career. So literally just a ring you take off there, and then you re-bolt this down, do the folding mechanism up, tighten everything down. I did go through the cockpit up here. Yeah, I did probably tighten these guys. That was a little loose out the gate. I still think like the shifter and like the grips could use a little tightening. We'll hit that on the way before we go on a ride. But yeah, everything, the brakes, they didn't really need any adjusting. Everything, I don't want to jinx it, but out the gate, so far so good. We're going to go through the parts here, and this is kind of the most important part of the video other than the ride test, where I just, can give you a comparison versus almost every other e-bike on the market and let you know, are the brakes good? Is the motor any good? What kind of battery it got? So we're going to dive into that right now. Okay, so getting into the parts, we're going to talk about battery and the rear hub first. That's probably the most important part to start with, especially if you're shopping for an e-bike right now. So as I mentioned at the top of this video, this comes in either a 10 amp hour or 13 amp hour. It's like 10 point something, 13 point something. Long story short, it's only $100 more to do the bigger battery. If this is something you want to keep long term, it's worth the extra $100. And I can say out the gate, the build quality on this versus anything else in its price range, it holds up, if not better. Like, they did a great job. It was shipped nicely and super easy to assemble. So yeah, the battery, probably the worst part about this is that it's not as big of a battery as I'm used to. So you're seeing like 15 to 20 amp hour batteries on other e-bikes, but also those cost about, $1,500 and up. So that's basically where they shaved the cost on this, is with the smaller size battery here. And then the rear hub here, it's advertised as a 750 watt motor. What I think though is that it's a 750 peak. Just because the 750 watt motors are actually a little thicker, and this one it looks more like a 500. And basically what companies will do is if it's a 500 watt and it peaks at 750, they'll advertise it as a 750. 750 is a gray area because technically they peak at around 1,000 watts. So people won't advertise that because it's above legal limits. So there's that weird spot. But what we'll talk about next is the brakes. I'm very impressed on this. I've never seen a sub $1,000 bike with hydraulic brakes. So that's a really good plus on this. Kind of surprised actually. That said, it has no brand name. I couldn't tell you who makes these brakes, so they're probably just the cheapest hydraulic brakes you can get. But cheap hydraulic brakes are still hydraulic brakes, and overall quality seems to be there. So I'm not gonna ding it or anything. The shifter, a decently nice kind of upgraded shifter here. It is the Shimano Atlas system in the back, which is a decent step up than the Tourney. So it's a nicer shifter, and for an e-bike, it's really all you need. It's going to do the job. No complaints on that. No front shifter. which is actually another good thing, because on an e-bike, remember, you have 5 levels of pedal assist. So imagine having 5 levels of pedal assist, 6 to 8 speeds in the back and then 3 in the front. That's just almost too many choices. So keeping it simple means less parts will break, and you can kind of stay focused, and it's easier to ride and make a split-second decision on your ride too. Rear fenders and everything came with it. There's this really nice kind of strap feature here. So if you want to like lay something across, you can strap something and button it down. I don't know how strong the button will last with a load on it, but it's a nice feature all said and done. We have brake lights that will light up when you hit the brake. See that going? That's always a plus, because that's not always a given, and if you're riding on city streets, you want that. So that's a plus. The brakes are good. What else? The fork. We do have a headlight, of course. Nice badging, and this, it looks great. I love the black. Everything's matte black, and it looks sharp. You have like a fake carbon fiber look on the light, which is kind of cool looking. It's just a standard fork, honestly, really. It has suspension, so that's a win, but it's nothing fancy. That said, it does have a lockout, which is interesting. So if you're going on pavement only rides, go ahead and lock it out and maybe even get a little extra speed out of it. Tires, and they are Chaoyang, which you'd think is like a knockoff brand, and it kind of is, but I like them. I think they do a great job. There's a lot worse tires on the market, so don't be disappointed for the Chaoyang. They do a good job. Oh yeah, one other thing while we're here, I'll just show you the folding mechanisms, how everything works. Very good job. Nice safeties here, so that prevents anything from happening. So you hold the safety down and pull. Hard to do with one hand. And then you have another safety on this side. Push this button, and then this folds down. And I'm going to put that back up while I show you the other one. So that locks right away, and you're back in business. And then for the rear, we will just move this safety up and then pull. And then what happens is this folds in half, and it gets very small. For comparison, that's the box it fits in. All right, so cutting to the hill test here. A couple things I'll talk about while we're doing this is, I noticed a couple other places where they might have been able to cut the cost down on this guy. I really am not these are like plasticky throttles. I much prefer either a thumb throttle. Well, I guess this is technically a thumb throttle, but there's a lot nicer ones. Or even just the twist one that like half of this is like a twist throttle. This is my least favorite of the types of throttles that are out there. And really across like every e-bike, there are only probably about like 7 different ones I've seen. And that's across like, maybe hundreds of models. That said, it's fine, and I'm 99% sure you just swap this out if you have a better throttle you want to swap it with. Then the display, now it has everything you need, it's totally fine, but there's a lot of cool displays out there now that are color, maybe pair with an app. This is the bare bones, so you're not getting anything fancy here. But that said, there's, what else do you need? You got your miles per hour, you got what level you're on, and you got your battery. And bonus, you have the wattage you're using. So, that said, it totally does the job. But I'm just saying, where this thing maybe cut a couple costs, probably in this corner of the bike. And anyways, we are going to do the hill test. Okay, so as you can see, we are on a pretty, relatively heavily sloped hill, and it's long. So, not only that, we're starting midway up the hill. I like to do this on all my e-bike reviews just to really put it to the test. Make sure the motor has what it can, that it can push me, a fully grown man weighing about 230 pounds. And if it can handle it with me, then I'm sure you're going to be A-okay. So we're going to start here. We are not pedaling at all. We are just going to do the throttle and put the motor to the test. Make sure it has enough juice to get us up, your average hill here. So throttle go. and we're off. So far, no issues whatsoever. In fact, we're crushing this hill. All right, and it only gets steeper as we go, so. And we're climbing. All right, so I think I have to make a correction from earlier in my video about this being a 750 watt motor. It looks like the power is peaking at 1,000. So even though this is that thinner motor capsule, it seems like we are definitely getting, as advertised, 750 watt pop motor, and it shows. I crushed that hill no problem at all. And now we are at a flat, so now you can just, we'll do one more test here, 0 to 60. Yeah, right, I wish we could go 60. All right, so we're just gonna start here so you can see the kind of torque we're working with. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, and as you saw that, it governs itself at about 20 miles per hour. There might be some sneaky ways to make it go a little faster, but 20 miles an hour, this competes head to head with every other e-bike in its class. It's great, it's really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and ride around a little more and give you my final thoughts shortly. All right, so I've been riding this thing now maybe a week, on and off. It's been a little bit chilly, a little bit nice, so Michigan's weird like that. I'm really impressed. What can I say? I keep reminding myself that this is under $1,000 and really has it all. I'm trying to think of some of the competition out there, like Lectric, anyone else like Ad Motor or Aviton, all those other big names. They're folding e-bikes. They might offer a little more, like fatter tires. Maybe that's about it, kind of. Bigger batteries, definitely bigger batteries. Like those Ad Motor and Aviton especially are like 20 amp hours, like 14 to 20. Other than those two things though, like overall quality, this goes neck to neck with all of them as far as just durability. I can already tell it's a well-made bike. It's using good parts. It's not just like bottom of the parts barrel, just like the cheapest thing to get this to a low price point. As I mentioned earlier, there's a couple cheaper parts being used, like the throttle. It's just a little plasticky, doesn't feel great in the hand. The display could be nicer, but those are things you can upgrade. Those are things that like aren't deal breakers, Tires are perfectly fine. And I don't know if you necessarily want like fat tires for off-roading on a bike like this anyways. So I think it's smart having these 2.5, 3-inch tires rather than fat tires. And that's worth bringing up because almost every other bike that would compete with this has the 4-inch fat tires. So this is more city riding focused. Another thing while we talk about where you should ride it, who should be riding it, I don't really necessarily think this bike was made for someone like me. While I had a fun time riding it, I think I'm a little too big for it. I'm 6 foot, maybe just under 6 foot, and I felt a little cumbersome. That said, I showed this to my wife and it's hers. She already says, that's mine. No one else can touch it. She's absolutely in love with this thing. It's got more than enough power. All the features you could want, right? Like I really am trying to rack my brain. Like, what is it missing? And I'm struggling to think of anything. I had that kind of confusion earlier of like, is it 500 watt? Is it 750 watt? But I think we got a straight up 750 watt motor with plenty power. Something I do a lot with my e-bikes is I have a trailer, and I like to ride and with my two daughters and go down, you know, nice little pavements like this. And I think this could handle that. And I use big bikes with big batteries because I need it to be able to go on a long trip with a lot of weight and hauling my daughters behind me. So the one place where this might fall short is that battery size. It is only 10 amp hours. That's not going to give as much range. It's not going to give as much torque. That said, like I said earlier, it comes with the option to pay, I think, $100, $150 to get that bigger battery. My only complaint there is, like, you know, it's not that big of a jump. You know, it's like 10 amp hour to just under 14 amp hour. I really wish they'd put a 20 in this, because that's what all the competition's doing. I guess at that point, maybe it would have to be like a $1,200 e-bike. I'd rather spend $200 more and get a 20 amp hour e-bike. This would be the perfect bike at that point. What else? Ooh, I'm gonna show you just a couple cool other things. So, a couple other things that are definitely worth mentioning. You have mounting points right here, water bottle mounting here, and a rear rack that's totally accessible for, you know, maybe you're doing this for like food delivery or something. This would be kind of perfect. Maybe go with the bigger battery again, but still you could get a nice rack to put your cargo in here. And these are for a front rack, so you could do kind of bike packing situation and put your water bottle down there. It can handle it all. The folding mechanism, I think I already demonstrated, but super easy, effortless. Same as this one up here, but safe. They have safeties. You know, I've had e-bikes that I've had literally an e-bike. It was a Rattan that started unfolding while riding. That said, I was totally fine. I noticed it pretty quick. But good thing they're getting better with these safeties to make sure that you can't undo it, especially while going 20 miles an hour plus. What else? It came with grease. That's awesome. Make sure you grease it up, because everything came built. So it might even be worth taking off the pedals, re-greasing the threading. You know, just do a once over, because man, I got to give this thing like a 5 out of 5, right? Like, there's nothing to ding this on. Like, I'm really scraping the barrel. You have this little nifty feature over here. It's like, so you can, I think it's to like put like something on the rack and then button it down. My only complaint there is it's pretty easy to unbutton and button, like too easy, to the point where I don't know if I trust my cargo with this, but it's cool that it's there. A little extra safety. You got your rear light, no blinkers, but blinkers on an e-bike are kind of overkill in my opinion. They're cool, but don't need them. Nice beefy kickstand. Those hydraulic brakes I was talking about earlier. The controller in a nice convenient location. As I mentioned before, Great Lakes eBikes, an e-bike store I own. We see a lot of issues with bikes, and sometimes those issues, I would say more than 50% of the time, you need a new controller. So it's a little control unit right here. You take it out and then you unplug it, replug it in, and everything's okay. They made it nice and accessible. So local dealers, people who know their way around an e-bike, it can be fixed real easily. And that's not to say that that's like bound to happen on this. The best e-bikes, the worst e-bikes, they all can have problems. And 9 times out of 10, it's controller based. We do have our class 2 badging right here as well. Again, confirming the 750 watt. And then, you know, at the end of the day, it's still just, it looks great too. And they did a good job sending me this color. It's a big fan in the household. The only sad part of all this is I will probably never get to ride this again, because as I said, my wife is taking it. So it's hers now. Okay, so in the meantime, if you are familiar with the channel and or my other channel where it's all about pickleball, go check that out at Kiwi Labs Pickleball. We have a good time over there, as well as kiwipickleball.com for all your pickleball paddles and gear. That is it for that. So I thank you guys for watching. If you're in Michigan, also check us out at Great Lakes eBikes. We stock all the major brands there, free test drives, so you can actually, you know, instead of doing reviews of bikes, you can actually go out and ride a bike. I think that's helpful for a lot of people, because you can watch me some of you don't know, ramble about a bike all day, but you know, you don't know until you actually ride a bike. So that's why we exist in Owosso, Michigan. Go give us, you know, a Google, come hang out. There's another location in Bay City as well. So at this point, I will stop rambling and end the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.